Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. So I'm here to do a really highly requested video. This video is about planning a wedding in Ghana for all my awesome Ghanaians who are living outside of Ghana. Since obviously I put up my wedding video, I've gotten so much positive comments and feedback from you guys talking about how, beautiful the wedding was, the decor, how beautifully planned it was. And I've gotten so many emails since the beginning of the year, and I have answered a lot of the emails individually, but I thought let me actually film a video where I cover all the vendors that we use for our wedding. Okay, so the number one question I get is, how much was your wedding? When the brides to be contact me, I'm trying to work out my budget, how much money, or I've got this much money aside, will it be able to cover this? Now that's a question I can't answer because planning a wedding is based on what your budget is, and the vendors can plan the wedding based on how much money you're willing to spend. Basically anything you want you can have if you have the finances, and also you got to keep in mind that prices change. Our wedding was at the beginning of the year, we're almost at the end of the year now, so if I'm to quote a price from beginning of the year, it may not necessarily be correct because maybe their prices have changed. But I can say for our wedding, we put money into certain areas, and for other areas it wasn't such a big deal. For me, the decor of the wedding, how it looked, was really important to me because I'm very much about, aesthetics. So, we put more into that, and we saved a lot of money in other areas because, we shopped around, we compared prices. We didn't just go with the first vendor that, we contacted, which is really, really important. Okay, so firstly, I think the most important thing is to secure your date. Once you've decided what date your wedding is going to be, you need to contact the venue and see if that date is available and free, because obviously people plan ahead. So although your wedding may be a year from now, that date could have been booked already. So you've got to contact the venue and check if the date is free, and if it is, fantastic. If it's not, you might have to go with another date or look at another venue as your option. So for us, the year before the wedding, I was in Ghana, and we went to 3 different places or venues where we were thinking about having the wedding. And the venue that we ended up going for was at Event Haven, which is a trade fair in Accra. We looked at 2 other places. One of them, they didn't get back to us till 6 months later when I was back in Australia. So that was just ridiculous for me. Disregarded them completely, and their price was like double what we actually paid for our entire wedding just for the reception. So that was a no-go. The other venue, the communication wasn't good. They also didn't follow up in time. So we ended up going with Jandel, who took care of the decor for the wedding and the reception, and the communication with them was absolutely fantastic from start to finish. And that was something that was really important to me. The communication had to be spot on because I was back in Australia trying to organize things in Ghana. There's a sense of urgency when you're planning a wedding because you need to check things off your list. So once it's checked off, you can move on to the next thing. So that was really important, and Jandel did that really, really well with us. So we secured the venue, secured the date, and we decided that we were going to have the ceremony outside on the grounds of Event Haven, and obviously the reception was in the big marquee. We decided that because we didn't want the issue of traveling from one location to the next, and it just made it a lot easier. But obviously if you're having your ceremony at a church and also the reception at another venue, you got to secure the dates for both of those places. Okay, so another thing that I did was I wrote everything down. Any small idea that came into my head, I've got color note on my phone, I wrote it down. I created a wedding folder, and in those folders I created subfolders, and I put like wedding dress options, bouquet options, shoe options. Basically every aspect of the wedding had a folder, and then I would save images, screenshot stuff, and put them in those folders and just keep going back to it. And as time went on, I was able to dwindle and move out things that I didn't want in it until I had decided exactly what I wanted for each category. Okay, so just continuing on with the decor, as you saw, we had beautiful white flowers. The flower arches were gorgeous. And Jandel actually provided all the flowers that you saw at the ceremony. Now Jandel also took care of the lighting at the reception venue. You can pay extra for someone to come and do lighting. There are vendors in Ghana that specifically do lighting, and if you have that additional money, you can pay them and they'll take care of that. But Jandel covered all of that in our package. Okay, so when I met with the owner of Jandel the year before, I gave her my vision. You know, we met in person, she got a sense of who I was, and I said, look, I want the feel of the wedding to just be beautiful, romantic. I want the colors really, really soft. As you guys saw, our color scheme was gray, peach, gold, and I think ivory. I wanted it really soft. I didn't want it too harsh on the eyes, hence it was very minimal. And to be honest, I gave her creative control for the ceremony. I didn't give her any specifics, and I actually gave her more specifics for the reception. And also because when you're going through everything for the reception, you know, you're looking at plates, chairs, napkins, and you can get into a little bit more detail. Also keep in mind that when you're planning with the vendor who's going to do your decor, it's based on the number of guests that you will have. So you got to be really specific about how many people that you want, because you get charged based on the number of people. So yeah, like I said, I didn't give her any specifics for the ceremony. I was just like, this is my vision, this is how I want it to be. And obviously because they're amazing at what they do, they executed it beyond my wildest dreams. Now, one thing I must mention is make sure you plan your table seating for the reception ahead of time. That's the one thing that I kind of overlooked and didn't really pay much attention to. So I left it towards the last minute, and it was actually quite stressful because we had about 250 guests that I had to decide who was sitting where, because we wanted people seated on specific tables. But if you're like just come in and sit down, then obviously you don't have that issue. Also, our wedding was invitation only because, like I said, you're paying for the number of people that show up. So we actually personally handed out invitations to people, or people came to collect it from us. So yes, the bride and groom, you know, it is up to you to make that decision. And I know everyone's like, oh, it's Ghana, you can't maintain that. And yeah, to some extent you can't, and there will be some extras that kind of come along. But I think if you set your standard from the beginning and you let your guests know, they actually will respect your decision and not just bring a whole bunch of people to your wedding. For me, it was really important that I knew people who were at my wedding. I said from the beginning, I don't want to look out into the crowd and see people that I don't know. Because your wedding day is a special day. You want people there who are genuinely happy to celebrate your love and to celebrate this special day with you. You don't want to have people who are there who, you know, they make you feel some type of way. You don't like, that's not the day for that kind of nonsense. You want people there who have been invested in your relationship, have seen the journey, and are honestly there, like I said, to celebrate the love, to celebrate the accomplishment, to celebrate the milestones. So that's something that was really important to me, and I think it's really important to consider that, you know, on your wedding day. It's one day, it's your special day, you know. You get to have what you want. Now, we didn't actually get a wedding planner. A lot of people think we got a wedding planner to plan the wedding, but hubby and I did all the planning. We just hired Jandel for the decor for the ceremony and the reception. But with the vendors that provide the decor, you can hire them to do the whole wedding planning as well. Obviously, it'll bump up your cost quite dramatically, but yeah, the option is there. Okay, so let's move on to something else that's really important, is food. Now, one thing you don't want to cut too much corners on is food, because I've heard a lot of stories of people getting food poisoning at weddings in Ghana. It's a real thing, and that's something that you don't want. You don't want that lasting impression of your wedding to be the fact that a guest got food poisoning. So the vendor that we went for was Fiona's Foods, and hubby actually found this vendor. Wonderful, beautiful lady. She was in Canada, she's moved to Ghana. Her food is amazing. When I say the food was tasty, hey, the food was so good. And unfortunately on the night, because, you know, being the bride, you know, you don't really get to stay put, I literally had like 3 spoons of my food, and I was like, you guys package the food for me, I'll chop it after the reception, because Chale, the food was so good. We met up with her prior to the wedding, and she got to meet us, get a sense of who we are. She was really, really cool, very like young at heart and just a fun lady. So yeah, she sent me her menu options, and I kind of picked and chose what I wanted from this one, what I didn't want, remove this, add this, until we decided what I wanted on our menu. And obviously with food, it's per head once again, and she had like different packages. So there was a menu for 30 cities per head, there was a menu for 40 cities per head, and I think going up. So yeah, with the food, don't cut costs. Make sure you get someone who knows what they're doing, because you know, catering for huge numbers is not easy. And the other wonderful thing about Fiona's Foods is she and her workers, she's got like a whole team of workers and waiters. Like, she brought all of those people along. They actually cook on site, so the food was cooked fresh and then served to the guests. So there's no issues with it sitting out for, you know, extended periods of time. You know, Ghana is hot, so food's got to be kept, you know, at the right temperature and all that kind of stuff. So she cooks on site, and we had no issues. The food was amazing. So next, on to videography and photography. Another area where, you know, you can end up spending a lot of money, but if you look around, you can definitely find, you know, a videographer, photographer that is at your price point. So we went with Possible Image for our videography. Now, we actually wanted another videography company, but the date that we had chosen was already taken by another couple, so we couldn't go with them. So we ended up going for Possible Image, and basically what I did was I just watched a ton of their videos on YouTube. Every time they uploaded a new wedding video, I'll check it out. And the wonderful thing is, you know, with YouTube you can see their work, and their work was good. And as you saw with the wedding video, they did a fantastic job. Now, they are actually based, I think, in Ghana and the UK, so the guy flies between Ghana and the UK depending on, you know, where he has his job. So yeah, he flew to Ghana for the wedding. And with the videography, obviously they're with you from the time you basically start in the morning all the way till the end of the night. And they also obviously went to the venue and filmed, you know, after the setup was complete, at the ceremony, and also at the reception. And price wise, they were actually quite good. So like I said, just, you know, shop around and compare prices until you get, you know, something that's close to what you want or exactly what you want. Now, with photography, once again, it can get quite costly if you don't shop around. Lucky for us, One Photos, who did our photography, the guy who owns One Photos is friends with a good friend of my husband, so that's kind of how we got introduced. We also met with him beforehand. Then it turns out that he was really good friends with one of my girlfriends, so it all worked out really good. Once again, their package was awesome, and honestly, with the photography, I compared quite a few photography vendors, and what they offered, including like the finished result, you know, the pictures, the album, all that kind of stuff, it was actually really, really good price wise. So One Photos did a fantastic job, and you see me like posting pictures on Instagram and stuff. They gave us more than enough pictures, like so many pictures, and they were fun to work with as well. They made us feel really comfortable. Now, with our invitations, once again, that's another place where you can end up spending a lot of money. For us, our invitations didn't need to be super fancy. I just wanted it to be, you know, simple, clean, and, you know, straight to the point. We ended up going with the favor packaging. Once again, you know, hubby lives in Ghana, he knows a lot of people. The lady who owns the business, he knows her. They kind of run in the same circle, so she did our invitations. She did a fantastic job. We didn't do like invitations for all the guests, because like our family members, you know, they didn't necessarily need the invitations. It was more like for the friends and stuff, because with the invitations you're paying per invitation, depending on if you want what do you call it, the laser cut, if it's got lace on it, how many, you know, compartments it has. It can get quite pricey. We just wanted a simple, you know, open up, it's got a ribbon around it, very simple, and it was effective, because at the end of the day, once they get the invitation, I mean, they'll probably throw it out. For me personally, we didn't need to spend a lot of money on it.